Great to have you join us. You get to weigh in on the stories, get to have your voice heard. WhatsApp is one way to do that. The number is 0911 999 0981 0911 That's the WhatsApp number to leave your messages in reaction to the stories that we are talking about this morning specifically. You can also join us on YouTube. We're streaming live right there at Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Smooth 981 FM Lagos. Leave your comments in the chat box. I'll take them alongside the WhatsApp messages. Believe me when I say so. That is, or those are the ways you can get to be a part of the show this Wednesday morning. Joining me at this time is Lakunle Yusuf. Lakunle, good morning to you. Great to have you on the show once again.
All our listeners everywhere where we are this morning. It's sunny and bright. I hope it's not raining wherever you are. If it is, it's also one of those elements of the times. Good to be here again today. Let's see what the stories have for us.
I would definitely not mind a bit of sunshine because there are threats of rain on this side. But hey, we'll see if it actually does rain eventually. Fingers are crossed on that one. All right, Lakunle, let's start with this story from The Guardian. It's a report, actually, that has to do with food. So, the 2025 wet season agricultural performance report by the National Agricultural Extension and Research Liaison Service has revealed that the cost of production of major crops per hectare increased between 29.2% and 36.3%. Now, this report was presented yesterday to the Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, that's Senator Abubakar Kyari, and other stakeholders revealed that the cost of producing major crops in Nigeria rose significantly in 2025 compared to 2024. What exactly would these numbers mean in the long run?
Ayo, a bit of historical perspective to this, right? So I grew up around the agricultural research zone of the western region of Nigeria. If you went to Ibadan and you mentioned places like NC, what's it called now? IRT, National Series Research Institute, and so on and so forth. In that axis going towards Abeokuta in Ibadan. All the agricultural research. There's also a forestry research institute at the back. There's a Federal College of Forestry Research somewhere around there. There's Okorie Research Institute on the other side of town. So in that axis, I grew up with our parents who were research officers who had gone all over the world to study and were the research officers in those places. I grew up with their children. So I have an idea of how much Nigeria invested in agriculture in times past. And one of them would then imagine that at this time, this is the time that we should be reaping the benefit of that investment of 30, 60, 70 years ago. There is a National Veterinary Research Institute in Jos. There is a crop something. There's a root crop one in Ijebu-Ife. So we can begin to mention all those things. Why did I go down that route? Is to say that, look, somewhere in our past, we prepared for a time that these crops or agriculture should be piece of cake to us, that it should be as cheap as possible. But guess what? All of these institutions that I've mentioned have somehow stagnated. You go to any of them today, you're not seeing anything. Imagine that a research institute, a cocoa research institute in Ibadan, is now selling bread. They have a bakery and a pure water factory, right? So that can tell you that they are not focusing on what they should. And what is the reason for that? Well, your guess is as good as mine. We are not even going to go into that. Now to this story. It says over the last 1 year, right, the cost of producing food has grown to 36% from 29.2% the year before. That's an average of about 7.2% over that period. Now, last year, this same time last year, food inflation was said to be at 37%. I think I'm correct. So now superimpose that with this report now that cost of production of food has grown by 7%. What effect is it going to have on food inflation? Let everybody also think about that. Now, it now comes back to what is our Ministry of Agriculture at the federal and state level and the agri extension offices in our local government, what are they doing? To buy, we were here 2, 3 years ago when people in agriculture started complaining about the cost of egg, how much it costs to raise one day Uchi till it starts to lay eggs, and so on. So we essentially have migrated from being a proactive people in terms of preparation somewhere in the past that we had made. We are now becoming reactive. Even at that, even us, the people, look at the sacrifices, look at the commitment, look at the stubbornness with which our immediate past president put into shutting down our borders against food importation, gave money to
Yeah.
farmers to do stuff. And many of them did not do what they were supposed to do with the money, particularly rice we are talking about now, right? Then do you blame those people really? The cost of we don't produce any of the we don't do vaccines there, for example, for animal production, we import. Meanwhile,
Mm.
there's a veterinary research institute in Jos. By now, we should be producing some of these things. Many of the inputs in our farms, are imported. For look at what the dollar is doing to us if we are importing. What impact is that going to have? So, can we go back to these our institutions? Can we revamp them? Can we make agriculture attractive to our young people to go study, become research people, research into these things? I knew when I was growing up, we used to eat corn maybe once or twice a year. Now you can eat corn, fresh corn from the farm all year round today. I knew that cassava used to be once a year crop because in our agric science in secondary school, they used to tell us annual crops, cassava. We can grow cassava 3 times a year today. But
Mm.
how much impact does that have on what we're talking about? It is the cost of acquisition of land. People would rather sell their land to people. Look at Federal Research, Forestry Research Institute of Nigeria, for example. The forest they were using as research in those days is now in housing estates, right in the middle of Ibadan, for example. So when you look
Imagine.
at all of those things and put it together, cost of land, cost of equipment, a massive Ferguson tractor today, if you want to buy in naira terms, is not less than 150 million naira. And I'm being conservative. You can check anywhere. So when the cost of inputs of all of these things are going on that high, there is no how this won't happen, and then the resultant effect will be that there will be increments in the cost of food in the market. And who
All right,
suffers it?
good.
The rest of us.
And we've been going through that for quite a bit now. Going back to basics, that's one way to begin to solve this problem. Devoe, good morning to you. Welcome into the show.
Yeah, morning.
Great to have you. I thought maybe you're having some technical difficulties, but hey, you're here now. Great for you to join us. And you're just in time, actually, because I was about to bring this in or bring this to your doorstep here after Lakunle talked about what's going on in the agricultural sector. This is from The Punch, and it's about INEC. So, as you probably heard, or if you haven't heard, after a decade of steering Nigeria's elections through sweeping reforms and innovations as well, Chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, on Tuesday announced his resignation. Now, he's been at the helm since 2015. He formally stepped down during the Commission's quarterly meeting with resident electoral commissioners in Abuja, describing the session as his last as chairman. So, by consensus, the National Commission, as Mrs. May Agbamuchembu, the most senior commissioner, takes over in acting capacity pending the appointment of a substantive chairman. So Yakubu is out of the door. There's a substantive chairman, and we expect a new INEC chairman pretty soon. Devoe, does this make a huge difference or any difference in our electoral processes going forward?
What difference?
I'm asking.
Does what make a difference?
Oh, the fact that Yakubu is out of the door now, there's an acting, and then
Okay.
we're expecting a new chairman to be appointed soon enough.
Well, it's the same way somebody was acting when he came in after Jaga had left. So many people will only compare you with your predecessor. And most times, um, we like to say that Yakubu Mahmoud didn't do as much as Jega. But the truth is, he served his 10 years, witnessed many elections. But the point is, a lot of gaps were left. He also saw the passing of some level of electoral reform in his time. But the hope is that the National Assembly will um, pass some of the electoral reform bills that are in front of it, pending legislative approval, so as to strengthen INEC even as a new, um, uh, what do you call it? A new chairman is expected. Yes, there's news going back and forth as to those who are saying that the president should not be the one to appoint, as against a collective appointment, which the IPAC has asked for. But the truth is, at this point, the Constitution gives the president that right.
Mm.
We're hoping that he will rise above politics. But as you can see, the politicking game covers every aspect. So I'm not going to be surprised if the new INEC chairman comes from Ogun State or even Lagos. I won't be surprised. But um, we have a lot of gap in our electioneering. It looks as if each election since the last general election has suffered more calamity than the rest, more sharp practice than the rest. And we wait because the truth is, where the country is at this point in time, um, only proper elections to a large extent will help us start getting our position right. And we wait to see who will be at the head of this big institution. I don't know whether Tinubu will elect someone, appoint someone quickly, or he will take a few months before he does that. Well, even if he takes time, Mrs. Agbamuche Mbu, who has literally been there for as long as we've known INEC, I think she's up to the task to deliver.
Quickly, Ayo,
Yeah.
Devoe, since Devoe has mentioned that he won't be surprised if the INEC chairman comes from Oyo or Ogun states. Please, if you know President Tinubu, I can submit my CV. I'm from both states.
Are you capable? That's not the question.
You need to try. Now find out.
All right, Lakunle. Let's head into this one. I mean, we spoke about this on Monday and on Tuesday. Well, there's been another twist in the tail. This is from the Punch, where the Minister of Innovation, Science and Technology, Geoffrey Naji, has resigned from President Tinubu's cabinet amid controversies surrounding his academic records and allegations of certificate forgery. Um, I think I asked this question yesterday that I asked Chibuzo in the studio and I asked him that should he actually step aside? I mean, I wasn't expecting that would happen, bearing in mind the sort of ways we tend to do things here, but he has stepped aside right now. Lakunle, your thoughts?
Whoa. Historically, again, this is not the first time, at least in this in this democracy of, is it Fourth Republic we are in now? Yeah, Fourth Republic. This has happened. You remember the Toronto case in 2000, the sitting Speaker of the House of Representatives, Salisu Buhari from Kano. And there have been several others. The deputy governor in Bayelsa in 2019 or 2018, 2022, that got the winner disqualified, and the current governor now sits in place, and so on and so on. And that was not even a forgery, as it were. It was just names, inconsistent naming on his whatever, and so it was stamped forgery as well. So we can look back in our history and we'll find many of such instances. The only thing here that has surprised me now is that we didn't need to go to court, we didn't need to make so much noise. This man, very uncharacteristic of Nigerian politicians, resigned. Whether it was from pressure from the presidency or from his constituency or whatever, maybe that one is not open to us. But the point now is that he has stepped aside. The morale of this for me, again, is to preach to those people who say, who school help. If school does not help you, if education is a scam, then why do you go to forge certificates to present that you went to school, right? And it is somehow, meanwhile, again, our constitution did not say you must be a graduate to hold any public office. It does not say you must be a graduate. President Umar Yar'Adua is possibly, in my immediate thoughts, is the first university graduate that was our president, for example. So why do you need to go and forge a certificate to present? Yeah, I was jokingly telling someone earlier this morning that if I want to run for public office, I will only present my primary school certificate and my years of work experience because that's what the constitution asked for. Why am I presenting something else that you know what you get what I mean? So it is at this point that we need to underscore the importance of government, even when government, you do your due diligence to avoid this kind of embarrassment. Imagine the embarrassment this is causing the government itself. You mean you appoint somebody as minister, you could not check to be sure that the person is as clean as possible that will not cause you this kind of embarrassment. You know what I'm saying? So it is not something that we should be happy about. Some people will jubilate, some people will be sad, some people will just not be circumspect enough about it. And it also comes back to integrity of the self. Why do you tell lies? Why do you claim what is not your? If you can do this, then how can I trust you with taxpayers' money? You know, so basically those are just the few things around it. And it's good for our democracy, at least, that somebody was accused, whether it has not been found guilty yet. It is court of public opinion that we still are. No court has said it's true. The certificates were forged. Yeah. So, but court of public opinion has done the needful. He has resigned. And I hope that subsequent governments, if not this one, will also learn from this, that we need to be more diligent in our choice of people for public office.
Most definitely, Lakunle. Just very quickly, I mean, how key is it that even after his resignation, that this particular issue is still taken up and it's seen to a logical conclusion? If these allegations actually are true, he should then face the music appropriately.
Yes. Thank you for bringing that up. That probably skipped my mind. You know, we have a law in Nigeria that says that if you are caught cheating during WAEC, you go to 21 years jail term. It's a 21 jail term, right? How old is the person? How possibly is the age of the person writing WAEC SSC? Maximum 18. So if
max.
you can set that kind of law for an 18-year-old writing WAEC, caught cheating, 21 years in jail, I mean, the rest of the story tells itself. We don't need to debate it very much more.
Correct. All right. Thank you for that, Lakunle. Devoe. Let's talk about some monies here. And let's walk into the Vanguard here, where it says that President Bola Tinubu has requested the approval of the House of Representatives for new external borrowing and debt refinancing totaling about $2.3 billion. Now, this request comes with another for the issuance of a $500 million debut sovereign sukuk in the international capital market. I'll let you take it from here, Devoe.
Okay, just not to confuse people, because many would say that here we go again with more borrowing. But the DMO did explain to the National Assembly that the 2025 budget provides for $9.2 million of new borrowing, okay, to finance the fiscal deficits, out of which 1.84 billion had been borrowed already. And the idea was the federal government was sourcing money through bonds, loans, bridge financing. And in this instance, they were going to use, apart from the 2 point something billion, which is about 4 trillion naira. They're also looking at raising $500 million through a Sukuk finance instrument, given the fact that local Sukuk bonds have been quite successful, I must say. The local Sukuk bonds have raised over 3 trillion naira. So these opportunities obviously are there, given the fact that, and as you know, the Sukuk financing is all about targeted funding, which was used to build roads and infrastructure in some parts of the country. So, I mean, left for me, if they're going to sukuk Nigeria out of its problems, I don't have an issue, because it's about time we begin to, because the whole idea in sukuk is that you match your funding with the project that you want to do. And you know, sukuk has borders on what they call ethical financing. So
Right.
it's not a case where you just borrow anonymously, and at the end of the day, nobody knows where the money went to. As you can see, there have been so many fights, especially on TV, between governments and the media over what did you do with that money. But with Sukuk financing, which has been quite successful, I mean, if you travel around the country, you will see the different portions that the Sukuk financing has done. So, and one of the biggest problems, we've always said that there's no problem with borrowing, okay? Nigeria's debt to GDP ratio is not as bad as other nations. Agreed. Don't get misled by when you hear Egypt, South Africa, America while Nigeria is at roughly 30% debt to GDP, other countries at 60, 80, 100. The difference is that when you go to those countries, you will see where all their borrowing went to. The infrastructure is enough proof that this country, and you know, such levels of infrastructure drive development and employment.
Definitely.
So I have to promote and advocate that if they could even raise the sukuk component of Nigeria's borrowing, I think it would help fix a lot of our infrastructural gaps within the country.
All right, let me take a few messages before I run back to you, Lakunle, so that I don't begin to choke on them at the end of the show. Rexy in Surulere says that a Greek production cost report is iffy because the cost of food items actually went down this year compared to last year. Rice was over 100,000. Today it's 60 to 75,000. Same with beans, gari, tomatoes, onions. Market reality does not reflect what the report actually suggests. Rex, if you can point me to where you buy your own food stuff, I would love to go and shop from there. Just let us know so we can all go there to do our shopping. But thank you for the message. I do agree. A number of things actually have come down according to reports by those who have gone to the market here and there. This is Victor who says, is it possible to choose the right leader through a rigged election or choose a bad leader through a free and fair election? Well, food for thoughts there. Tony Nikeja says, good morning, Ayo. Don't know if I heard you right that Yakubu took INEC through sweeping reforms. Well, that's what the story said. I didn't write the story. I just read from what the paper said. It says, no, we all know that Mahmoud Yakubu swept away all INEC reforms. The bitter truth is that man and his co-travelers are being rewarded for assaulting our electoral system in place of being locked away in remote prison where students go on excursion to see the price people pay for deceiving a nation. Prison care. What was his crime? Where was he convicted? And so on and so forth. All right, luckily, very quickly, let's jump into the vanguard here. The Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, Mr. Wale Edun, says there will be no more budget extensions in the Nigerian fiscal space going forward. Because of time, just give us some insight into this one. You're muted, Lakunle. Lakunle, if you can hear me, you are muted. Okay.
Okay, I have seen it. Yeah. So just quick, maybe 2 or 3 sentences to close this out. One is that over the years, we had gotten into a cycle that say year X, we don't execute the budget in year X, and then we go to year Y and Z, and we're still talking of budget of year X. it has become almost normal, even up to this year, up till, I think, even up to this month, the 2024 budget is still running. We have not even started looking at 2025 budget. That's why you will hear, for example, that contractors from last year are just being paid now. Of course, it's because possibly there was no money to pay them last year up to this point that there's money. So that's an example. And then what this does is that it does not give room for the transparency every government wants us to believe that they have. Because if we're 2025 and you are still spending, you are still executing the budget of 2 years before or the year before, then how are we sure that you're not going to be repeating the same thing in the next year's budget, the next year that is ahead, that you have done? So it also makes your transparency claim to be suspect. And lastly, what it does is that it does not promote efficiency in terms of contract award. So, for example, look at what happened to Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It took about 12 years to finish a 120-kilometer road, 12 to 14 years. And it was because of things like this.
I was going to say 12 years or more than that.
The 12 to 14 years, kind of, for it to be completed. And look at East-West Road also. East-West Road from, I think, from around Delta states up to Rivers. It's crossing about 3 or 4 states. That road has been on like forever. And it's things like this that cause those kind of things to happen, right? And of course, it stifles development when it happens. So it's good news to hear that the minister is committing to running a budget from January to December, not January X to September of a year. Why that follows.
Fantastic stuff. Well, let us just hope that, as it has been said, is how it will actually play out. So we shall see and keep our fingers crossed and keep our eyes open on that one. Let me take your messages as we wrap up on the show this morning. This is Lakunle in Lagos, who says, good morning, crew. The only solution is electoral reforms. The president must not choose the INEC chairman, but other civil society should choose. I'm confused. Should choose Mike Guinea or the Abia State electoral woman, which they will not compromise the election for the president. The president shouldn't choose, but other civil society should choose. I'm confused by that.
What he's trying to be sarcastic, saying that why should the president not choose the INEC chairman? You see, that's the law. If we don't like the law, let's go and pressure our reps and senators to change it. I mean, if we don't like it, all this posturing on the newspaper, going to court, blah, 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 is for me grandstanding. Let's go and lobby the National Assembly. Let's lobby our states houses of assembly as well, because it's a fundamental change of the constitution. You need 2/3 of the states house of assembly and 2/3 of the National Assembly to make it happen. So let's go and change it. But as it is today, the president nominates. Yeah, the president nominates. The National Assembly approves. If we don't like it, let's pressure them to change it.
All right, let me finish the message. He says, if there's a free and fair elections without any vote buying or intimidation by agros and so on, the APC won't win one state, not even one local government. The case study is the 2023 election. It's a shame that the worst of us is ruling the best of us. Truly, there was a country. There's still a country, actually. Gilbert Musa in
There's nowhere in the world where they don't buy votes. Maybe not with cash. Name one democracy in the world where they don't buy votes one way or the other. I mean, so again, like I always say, the best of us, if we stay away from where our matters are being discussed, the worst of us will discuss us and do what is within their capability to do. So don't let us keep saying it's becoming a cliche. Let us all get into the ring and make the change from the inside.
All right, Gilbert Musa in Festac says, like Mr. Lakunle said, we have a litany of abandoned agricultural institutions scattered all over Nigeria, which have failed in their objectives, including the Federal College of Agriculture in Ibadan, established in 1921. The state of the institution currently is dilapidated. We need to look inwards and do the needful. Michael says, my question is, why should we in this age be ruled by lower educational classes? What makes them intellectually sound? What indeed? This is Olatunde and Ibutemeta. Okay, I think this is a PSA. It says, kindly help us on the FRC Lagos State Command to call its officers at Western Avenue / Funshaw Williams Ikmori office to order. It's becoming a daily routine for FRSA men to block the highway while checking container trucks. It's unacceptable. I think there should be a way they can do that without blocking the whole highway and causing a lot of trouble there. I'll look into that one. Thank you, Olatunde, for that message.
You know, the bad part of it is that they do it at the peak hours when people are going to work in the morning.
It's ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Joseph Menier in Silver Estate says, it's obvious there's negligence of duty and no background check of many of the public office holders and politicians by the relevant agencies and even the Senate, yet no punishment for forgery by the elites, government and politicians, but the ordinary citizen is in jail instantly. That's the level of anyhowness. Nigeria has gotten to where people are paid for doing nothing. Cisco Delgado says, good morning to you, Cisco. Fabian Inekwe says, this is a continuation of the movie. The minister should not be given a soft landing, but he should be fully investigated for forgery and perjury. If nothing occurs, it will be a confirmation of a lack of integrity of the presidency and the government. The police should use the same power that was shown in the enforcement of tinted glass permits to investigate this case. Yes. The energy is very, very
somebody has to complain to the police. The police won't pick it up from the pages of newspaper.
But I think, but aren't the police aware of what is going on?
They won't pick it up they won't pick it up because they are aware. There must be a complaint. That's what the police will tell you. If nobody has come to complain, they can't do anything.
Tony Maribit says the evil cycle continues with our electoral process as long as we fail to change our ugly system. Is it normal to bestow so much powers on one man who serves as interim president during elections and whose words is like that of a god? Is it not time for us to imbibe a system of technology that makes our electoral process so plain and clear that it becomes just a tradition or a ceremony for the appointed INEC chairman to announce the results? Right now, we're waiting for the president to announce his next INEC chairman. Our problem continues. Well, as Lakunle said, it's currently the law. Unfortunate as it is, nothing will happen until we get that changed. And that is the reality of where we are right now. All right, we need to wrap it up. Thank you all so much for all your messages. Lakunle, thank you so much for joining me this morning. Devoe had to drop out because of technical issues, but thank you to him as well. Lakunle, a few words as we wrap up.
Once again, my CV is available for INEC chairman. If you know President Tinubu, it's going to be the biggest news in the days going forward because of the importance of that office. And people are already warming up for. I think there's an election in 2026 in some states and gubernatorial elections. I think Osun, Ondo, and I am not sure. I think those play Osun, Ondo that should be like and maybe Ekiti. Any of those, some of those three. I think there's so we're already warming up for election. Even the 2027 one, we're already warming up. So it's so important. Every politician will have an interest in who becomes INEC chairman. So they start to do their own work. And for the rest of us, let's have a good day. The year is running to our end. Let's do a review of what we plan to do this year. Where are we with it so that we can start planning for the next year? It's not only Nigeria that needs a budget. We all need individual budgets as well. Thank you.
True story. All right, Lakunle, thank you so very much. Have a great Wednesday and enjoy the rest of your week as well. Lagos, keep it tuned to the Smooth Breakfast here on Smooth 98.1. The show continues. The Smooth Breakfast show continues. 8:15, the locker room is coming up. Sports and all that good stuff.